Hi, 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. I'll read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz. New Book 4 by Dwayne the Great Writer. "How do I know that you will give me the information once you have the gold?" she growled. "Duh, lady, you can always eat me," I said as I laughed, and then she laughed too, which deep inside I was not laughing, but concerned to see how this scenario would work out. "I like this event we have here, Dwayne. It is sultry and sexy at the same time and gives me a reason to live for the adventure again. This feels even better than when the Callum God asked me to subdue boring Gerald. I was a child then and so excited, and now I am the adult with the experience of lifetimes. I have become very bored with Harold because he was actually too easy to control. He is a little boy acting like he is a master of something. He is lucky he knew how to write, or he would have no life at all. Ha ha. I still find it hard to believe that people still really look up to him. I am the one that made him and used him to get what I wanted. So many people are bored with their life, but you and I, Dwayne, are never bored, because we see the possibilities," she said. "Crony, I am very weak. Will you give me a ride for a ways until I feel better? I know you are very strong and able to carry me," I asked her. "I can do that. Besides, I can travel faster than anything around here. So hop on, surfer dude, for the ride of your life," she said as I slowly got up with my aching arm still in pain. I got up on her back and then she took off. She really was fast. With all that was going on, I forgot about RT. What happened to him and where is he? Crony moved very fast through the rocky terrain and took giant leaps from one ledge to another. I was amazed at her agility. Then at some point we came to a large and wide river. She seemed to hesitate at first. Water is something I do not do well with, so I have to take it slow across this area," she said as she slowly entered the water and moved through it. I knew that this was my chance. I had picked up 2 sharp rocks when she was holding me down on the ground, because I was now going to be taken without a fight. Because I was not going to be taken without a fight. But this situation is even better. As we moved across the water and it became deeper and up to her neck, I took the sharp rocks from up my sleeves and rapidly stuck them in her ears. She immediately screamed like a woman in pain. "What have you done to me, you bastard brat?" she said as she threw me off of her. I watched as she struggled in the water, but I knew that she would not survive, because what Rebazar taught me was that nothing can survive without sound. As she struggled, I could see electrical sparks coming from her head and out of her eyes. Then I realized she was a machine and not the real Crony. I had to think fast, because this meant that the real Crony had been controlling the Femi beast, and she knew I was here and trying to destroy her. "I can't trust you, Crony, and I want the gold for myself. I will get to Harry somehow and make sure he doesn't talk," I said, hoping that the real Crony was listening. Finally, the beast was gone. I moved across the stream and onto the dry land. There was actually some vegetation on the ground like grass and a few trees to look at. I really did miss nature and its beauty. I immediately fell to the ground and went right to sleep from exhaustion. I soon began to dream. Rebazar returns. I was suddenly on my favorite beach, sitting on the golden sand and staring up at the brilliant sun in the sky. I felt as though I was 20 again. I was happy and free. As I looked in the sky, I could see giant white pelicans flying by so majestically. I felt so good being here. The ocean was huge and a wonderful blue, with really good waves coming in from the outside onto the shore. For a moment I thought about going surfing, and then I noticed that I had no board. Then I suddenly realized where I was. It took me a moment to remember where I came from. Then I did remember, and I thought that it was all a dream and that everything was fine now. I was now in a new life, and the bad dream I had about being in the Callum worlds was something of a whim that crossed my being. Then suddenly I was being shaken from somewhere. "Get up, Dwayne, we have to keep going," said a voice that I seemed to know. I slowly opened my eyes, and I could see someone over me. "Dwayne, get up, we must go now," said the voice. I sat up and rubbed my eyes and looked closely. I could see who it was, but it still took me a moment for it to register. "RT, you are here," I said, and wondering what I meant. "Yes, get up, Dwayne," he said. "Where are we? I hope it is in Hawaii again," I said, as I suddenly saw the gloomy surroundings and knew that I was back in the bad Callum dream. "Well, Sonny, you do amaze me. I was with you the whole time, and I knew the beast was a machine, and so I didn't want Cronin to know that I was here with you. You did great. Congratulations," he said as he smiled. "Do I get another Surfer Award for my performance, sir?" I asked, still rather groggy from my nap. "Ha, ha, ha. You are a funny boy, Dwayne. You will be getting the biggest awards of your life after we finish in this world of Maya," he said as he grabbed my hand and pulled me to my feet. "Hey, I was really scared for my life when that bitch was going to eat me, sir," I said as I rubbed my sore arms. "I know you were, and I wanted to see you survive. If you would have been in any real danger, I could have zapped her, but I wanted to see how you would do. You are very capable for what is to take place in the future, and this has been part of your preparation. Besides, she did just what I was hoping she would do, and that is confess that the Callum God knows. What the Callum God knows. He is not as clever as he thinks. Harry has the secret knowledge about us, and even Harry doesn't know where it is. He only thinks he knows. This is why Callum cannot get it from him, because even Harry cannot get it from himself. We have a lot to go through, so let's go," he said as he took off at a fast pace. Reluctantly, I followed him. I wanted to stay in the unseen worlds of real beauty, but here I was again in a time frame of always potential chaos. I felt like Maxwell Smart, the do-gooder. We walked for what seemed to be hours. The natural scenery began to gradually change and become so much nicer as we continued on. There were more trees and a lot of lovely plants and flowers that were everywhere. After a while, we were in a wonderful forest of landscaping that was very ethereal. I had to stop for a moment to look over everything. There were even bees and butterflies moving about from flower to flower. I could smell the fragrances of everything that was alive. RT kept walking, and so I had to catch up. "Do you think there is something to eat around here?" I asked. "There should be some type of fruit trees in the area." We are on the wide and lush outskirts of Sham, which means that the landscaping will continue to get better as we go along. "Look, up ahead there are some fruit trees," said RT as I followed him to the trees. We both picked some really nice fruit from these huge trees. The fruit looked like small apples and tasted like an apple-plum combination. I looked all around. We were in a huge, lovely garden that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were rolling hills and caressing valleys that swept along the surreal and picturesque formations. This is a great place, I thought, if there were only an ocean to go with it. The ocean of time. Follow me, Dwayne. You will like what is coming up, said R.T. as I followed him over a rather large hill. As we were climbing, I noticed that the two red suns were no longer around, and all the light of this area was coming from a brilliant, soft, yellowish sun. Finally, we made it to the top of the hill. As we came onto the plateau of the hill, I could smell the ocean. Then I saw the ocean. It stretched to the horizon. I felt I was back in the unseen worlds and free from this bad adventure of unlimited torture. Wow, sir, this is great. Can we go down there and get in the water, I asked. We will see what this place has for us, he said as we climbed down and finally reached the golden sand that stretched to the water's edge. The ocean was a clear bluish color that was vibrant and refreshing. The land formed a large inlet like a harbor as the ocean seemed to hold it in place. The sun was high overhead and reflecting the most marvelous dancing light on the water's surface. I felt I was in heaven, and then I realized that I was. The Maya heaven, and it was great. There were great white birds that flew near the water's surface and then back up in the air. As I paid more attention to the water, I noticed that there were some really good waves in several different spots. There was a break along the center of the beach that was a big peak that peeled off left and right, and there was also a right point break that looked like Rincon. This place is great, I said as I went over to the water and put my feet in. Ha, ha, Sonny, this is the ocean of time, he said as he came over to the water's edge. This is part of the Maya of Callum. This is part of the Maya of Callum, sir? I asked as I enjoyed being in the water. Yes, this ocean is part of the seemingly endless river of time that is part of the dualistic nature that sustains this region and all the ones below it. The Callum has produced this phenomena for the pleasure of making sure that his followers are happy and stay with him. This is where the benevolent head of the three-headed god takes over. Here we are encountering the persuasion of the Maya-est beauty. This is something to enjoy and be aware of at the same time. Enjoy yourself for these moments. I am going to walk down a ways and see what else there is here and make sure we are safe, he said as he walked towards the direction we came from. As he was speaking, I happened to notice that there was someone out riding the waves. I watched as this person caught some beautiful waves and then rode them for the longest distance. Then they were on one of the rights and came all the way to shore. Suddenly I noticed that it was a beautiful woman and she was very young. As she got off her board and started walking toward me, I could see that she was a voluptuous blonde lady. I was rather surprised to see anyone out here, especially surfing. She came right up to me and put her board down on the sand. "Hello," she said with her lovely voice. "I am Shar." I hesitated for a moment and thought, "Me Tarzan, you Jane." "Hello, young lady, me Dwayne. I am Dwayne. I am a surfer also," I said as I looked into her pure blue eyes and started to become entranced. "You are cute, surfer boy. Do you want to surf with me?" she asked in the most seductive way. Well, I didn't want to say no and make her feel bad. That would be great, miss, but I don't have a board, I said as I kept staring at her. Well, I can fix that, Dwayne. I have several more boards in my beach hut over there, she said as she pointed, and I looked over to it. Huh, I thought. I surely didn't notice that hut there before. I had better start paying attention to what is going on here. She walked over. I followed her to the little hut that looked like something out of the movie Gidget. All of what I was experiencing was in relation to my life on Earth. When Heather was young, she surfed with mainly boys just like Gidget did in the movie. Heather liked to think of herself as the original Gidget. Come in, she said, and I will show you what I have. That sounded interesting, so I followed her in and saw several boards that were very new. So I paid more attention to the boards. This one looks about 9 foot, I said. Can I take this one out? You wouldn't happen to have any trunks, would you? Try these on, she said as she handed me a pair of blue trunks with her smiling face. I put a towel around me and slipped on the trunks. Okay, I'm ready, I said as we went out the opening. As we walked back, I looked for RT, but he had vanished again. I thought, all of this looks like a setup of some kind, so I just went along with it. Shar and I paddled out into the clear blue waters. As we were paddling, several dolphins came up to the surface and giggled the way they do and then swam all around her and I. I saw a big wave on the outside and paddled real hard for it. Shar stayed in the same spot and waited. It became a big wave and then I rode it back to her. You are really good, Dwayne. Have you been surfing long? She asked as I could tell that she was flirting with me. Yes, I have. Time-wise, 40 years, I said. But you are so young, she said. Let's catch a couple more and then go back to my place. Okay, let's do that, I replied, and then paddled out for several more as she followed. After a short while, we paddled into shore and put our boards down and sat on the sand. I kept looking over this whole scene and wondering why she was out here all alone. Do you live out here, Shar, by yourself? I asked. Yes, I do. My family was taken by the Callum God years ago and made to work in his palace. I have not seen them since. I like being out here because I like being alone. Where are you from, Dwayne? She asked. You might say a place far, far away. I am here to find a friend of mine that Callum God has also taken, I said as I smiled at her. Callum is very bad, and I advise you to forget your friend, because if you try anything, you will be taken and never found again, she said as she put her hand on mine. Suddenly, I felt very romantico. Here was a beautiful woman that was a loner like me in a great place that was all too perfect, and it was all too good to be true. As I looked at her, I saw Rebazar walking up the beach. I stood up and walked over to him as Shar sat on the sand. Things are very interesting here, sir, I said as I told him about my little encounter. Ha, 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 surfer boy. She is an agent for the Callum and here to stop us from succeeding. I will destroy her, said RT as he moved past me to her. Wait, Rebazar, maybe she has changed and she could help us instead, I said as I chased him real fast and put myself between him and her. Shar stood up and looked at us as though we were acting silly. She is an android and programmed to eliminate anyone that comes here so they can go no further, said RT as he stood and looked rather fiercely at her. I immediately turned and said, Shar, can you help us get to your friend being held somewhere near the 3 mountains of light? If you are truly willing to help us, Rebazar will not destroy you. She looked at both of us in a state of real panic and said, I do not want to go there, but I do not want to be eliminated either. So I will help you as much as I can. I could immediately tell that this woman was unique and not like all those Orange County girls with their attitudes that I usually had to deal with. I do not trust her. She is under the spell of the Deceptors, said RT as he kept looking at her. I will sincerely help you, Sir Rebazar. I am only partly an android. I was captured by the Deceptors, and they gave me an implant so that I must perform according to them, or they will kill my parents, who I have not seen for years. It is true that I have been placed here to lure the unaware and then hand them over to Callum, but I can see the great love in the two of you, and I really do want to help. I have learned how to fool the mental apparatus of the lunatic. I would like to find my parents and free them also. I know many secret ways into the area, and many of the guards at the Callum Castle, she said, looking at us as though she was afraid. We shall see, Miss Shar, if you have the courage to do as you say. The two of you must get ready. We have to go now, said RT as he turned and walked. Shar and I ran back to the hut and changed real fast and then caught up with RT. Ha ha, good to see you two, RT said as we kept walking. I will read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz, new book 4 of the Adventure Is series by Dwayne the Great Writer, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. See ya. Lila's bedtime stories will be on Blog Talk Radio in 38 minutes.